That's it. We're now live. This is the Game Bites Weekly Podcast with Alex Aurelius III, the greatest Stoic philosopher in the San Francisco Bay Area, and also a large fan of Naruto. Is that correct?
Nope.
Okay. You're a big Mortal Kombat fan? Are you going to have the mask the entire time? People might have a hard time hearing you. You did the mustache as well? Is that why you had your face hidden?
Yeah. I wanted to see your reaction.
Oh, that was good. That was good. That was a live reaction, Chad. I hope everyone's having a good night. It is that time again where two guys come together to talk about games and nothing else, because that's the only thing that's really, I can't look at it. You look like Bill Murray. You look like Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Bill
Murray rocked a mustache at some point?
No, I don't know. Maybe. I get the Ben Stiller from Happy Gilmore. You know, when he's the medical person in the retirement home. He's like threatening.
Abuser.
Yeah, that's the look I have going on. At least that's what my friends have said. That and Freddie Mercury. So I'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah. So how you doing? How's your week been, bud?
Very good. Just work and school and prepping for this.
You've been prepping. So are you what do you have for us?
By prepping for this, I meant it was just some part of my week, and it included the 5 minutes leading up to us starting. So,
you know, I'll be honest, I've been adding stuff all week, and every time I went into the Google Sheet, I'd see you on it, and I'm like, oh, he's really reading this time. And you know, that was just you leaving it up, it seems.
Yeah, I got to find out where that tab is open. That could be the library, a random person's laptop at Panera. It might be my phone, but yeah, I don't know why it says I'm on.
It's typing right now and says, I have your personal information and your parents.
Yeah.
Whoa. You might want to figure that out. So let's go ahead and start with the news then. Pretty interesting week. Some things kind of exciting. Some things, you know, I want to start off with something I think you'll have a lot to say of, because I actually don't. This is not game related, but it is game related. It's also TV show related. The Witcher.
Oh,
The Witcher.
Man. Oh gosh, that was speaking of mustaches, how much money went into that mustache?
Did Henry have a mustache?
On purpose. Yeah, we should put the rest of your Twitch budget towards using CGI to remove our mustaches, because that's what they had to do for Henry Cavill's inclusion in Justice League, because he was filming Mission Impossible.
That's right.
And
so they
here
took
we are, rocking Mario and Luigi.
Yeah, well, I'll take it. It.
Oh, but no, that is... I heard about that, and my immediate suspicions was he's super passionate about the series, both the books, and he's a big gamer. I didn't realize that until way later, but I thought when the whole series started, he was like the main push for that. You know, like just like Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool, Ezra Miller in The Flash, which that's just going down, you know, horribly. But I thought Henry Cavill was like, if this is a show, I want to be on it. Like, I want to have, you know, I want to be a part of it. Like, if it's happening, I have to be a part of it, kind of thing. And he was super passionate. And then season 1 came out and season 2 came out, and you see like the divergence that they're taking from both the books, which was supposed to be their main reference, but there's a lot of stuff from the games in there. I mean, even his portrayal of Geralt is, you know, seems to be like.
Is it Geralt, or I thought it was Geralt?
Whatever. I think actually different. It's pronounced differently. Even like in the audiobooks, they all pronounce it differently and stuff.
Okay.
But that might be used to establish like accents in different parts of the world. But I was telling my friend about it, and I was thinking like, this is either season 3 is going completely off the rails, and they don't not listen to his input at all. Because he did have a lot of input in the first 2 seasons, and it turns out like some of the best episodes were the ones that Henry Cavill like allowed to, you know, have more input, and
Sure.
And it turned out for the better. And it just seems like they should have gave him more of that, and it seems like maybe they went less of that. And there's all these rumors that the writers don't like the source material at all, and they want to do their own thing. But I was thinking either that, or he has just found something else that he's passionate about, that he was like, you know what, I'll take a step away from this. I want to pursue this now. You know, I did the Geralt thing. But yeah, it turns out I think it's creative differences. I think that's the conclusion.
Yeah. So for listeners, I don't know if we gave a summary, but Henry's leaving the show, right? They replaced him with Chris Hemsworth or Liam Hemsworth.
Liam Hemsworth.
Liam. Yeah.
The Luigi Hemsworth.
The Luigis of the Hemsworth brothers, and let's be honest, that's one I don't. Yeah, this is just an entire Mario and Luigi episode.
It's so bizarre.
And that's what I've heard too from people that have watched the show, are passionate about the series. They said from the beginning, there's been discussions that the writers weren't really great fans of the source material, and I don't know what to do with that because. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm just saying, why are they involved? Like, how does this keep happening? It's got to be like these writer rooms are being filled with like, hey, this is my buddy. He wrote for like, Desperate Housewives, so or Housewives of Orange County. So let's have him on The Witcher. He's very abrasive. He writes, but he doesn't read the source material. So yeah, it'll be fine.
And I guess that's the part of me that's curious, is how often, and this is more of an abstract question, but how often do you get readers on these types of productions that a writer has to have a certain type of mentality to themselves where they're like, I write, I'm a good writer, I get paid to do this. So how often do you have almost like this ego thing? I'm curious if it's a modern thing, or because this isn't the first time I've heard it. I've heard it with other television productions of shows that have source materials where they like, no, we could do this better. And like, a good example, the Halo TV show. The Halo TV show had a lot of potential, was entertaining, and some of the best combat, like film representation of Halo combat ever, that show. But they just completely took the original concept of Master Chief and had their own views for it. And that's not what we're talking about here, but it seems to happen a lot with writers in TV shows when they're adapting video games. And now I'm just curious about why. But that's the whole thing. Like, Henry apparently disagreed with the writers disagreed with the source material, and now he's gone.
A recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just surprised Netflix was like, because they're gonna cut it after season 3 like they do every other one of their shows except for Stranger Things. But I'm surprised they're even pushing forward for this season 3. They're gonna spend the money, and they're gonna have season 3, so these writers can have their creative grand finale, I guess, for this series that seemingly everyone, if you're gonna stray away from the source material, who are you making this for? I don't know.
Yeah. At that point, I wonder why you don't bring the original writer in from Poland and be like, hey, act as a consultant. Well, I know he's not happy, right? What's the history there? He's upset about the money.
I don't think, no, that was with the game and CD Projekt Red, but I think that's been resolved. But I think he's happier with the show and his involvement with that. But yeah, no, the money thing and the royalties and all that stuff was about the game and the success of Witcher 3. So
okay, yeah, I know he didn't get a lot of cash from that, but interesting.
Wasn't in the contract. So it's
it's one of those things where you sell it for a certain reason because you don't have a lot of potential, and then you learn from it down the road, right? But anyways, so that's interesting. Again, I've yet to watch it at this point. I've not even beat The Witcher 3. I think that's probably my main priority versus trying to watch the TV show. But yeah, maybe Henry got involved with the sequel to a popular hero movie that just came out that was spoiled for me greatly because of every single MSN landing page I would go to.
What movie?
I'm not going to say it.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about more like a cameo?
Kind of, but like a cameo that was spoiled greatly, because now it's like, now,
I thought you were talking about there was more news about him actually confirmed for a sequel that's actually coming out like next year or something, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move forward. Talking about superheroes and talking about mustaches, let's talk about Electronic Arts, which has nothing to do with mustaches, but now has something to do with superheroes. This was a breaking news from Bloomberg earlier this week, but EA has confirmed they are now working to bring 3 new Marvel games to the video game universe. How do you feel about that?
Fallen Order exists, so like, I'm cautiously no, I can't say. I'm cautiously not optimistic or realist about this, that there's a slim chance that I'm going to like whatever comes out of EA, but there is a chance.
That chance, though, I think is important because Fallen Order handled, obviously, the team behind Fallen Order, I believe, is behind these games so far, what we know. There's an Iron Man game that's going to be developed, and people who were rightfully upset at a game like Anthem were like, wait a second. If you take the flying mechanics of Anthem and you turn that into a really good Iron Man game, I'm sold right away. So
okay. Yeah, you're probably forgetting that they don't usually use really good before, when they're planning, and they instead use, how can we monetize this and probably not put any end game into it, but let's just burn the cash up front. That's
that's an aspect of EA for sure. And I will say this is that this agreement has a lot to do with how EA brought good things to Fallen Order and Star Wars in general, and the Fallen Order sequel that's in the works. So you could be hopeful, but yeah, we'll wait and see. But there's 3 games, again, one of them being Iron Man. I don't think anyone else has been confirmed. I don't know if you saw anything else.
No.
Yeah. That Avengers game that came out, that had a great, and this has to do with how Square dropped the ball and how EA took another Disney property and did something good with it. This is kind of what I've heard as the backstory behind why the contract changed. But that Avengers game, the solo campaign was great. The single player game.
I think it peaked, honestly, at that opening mission. It was like a good introduction. I feel like that's what they had at the start. They're like, here's the opening mission, it's like 10, 15 minutes of gameplay. But just so you know, that's like all of the characters, and that's one of 2 bosses that we're putting in the multiplayer. Like the end game. I think it was Taskmaster and Abomination were like the only 2 for the longest time. But yeah, I feel like they had that 15 minutes of gameplay, which was really solid and cinematic and awesome. And then they just never really took the gameplay anywhere further than that. But yeah, I wish they have potential there. Yeah, I would, obviously what's happened with Avengers since is, tale's a tale, but.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing. So I'm hopeful there could be something good. It's going to be curious if they do like an MCU representation of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man or something different as well. I think, again, optimistic. That's all I can be. But at the same time, I'll wait and see as well. It's kind of like I'm hopeful, but also you ain't taking my money until I see something. But again, if you have the team behind Fallen Order on it, who knows? Like that game's phenomenal. Yeah.
It's just kind of weird. If you heard this news break about probably 20 other developers or publishers, people would have been more excited. That's all I'm saying. It's just it's EA, and everyone still has a sour taste.
That's actually a fair question. What developer getting these titles would make you ecstatic and excited, hands down, without any question?
Well, isn't Naughty Dog responsible for Spider-Man already? Aren't they doing Wolverine also?
They might be. Might be.
If they were to hand it, like Naughty Dog it is insane how much, with the team that they have and the quality they keep pumping out, it's just insane. So I can see them just like being like, okay, we understand we could probably take any Marvel property and make it a marketable game, but they have other things they're trying to work on, and probably don't want to get sucked into obviously a 3-game deal. But at least with EA as a publisher, they have a bunch of things underneath of them.
I think you're thinking of Insomniac, the same team on Spider-Man.
Insomniac, yeah.
Which, that's easy to get them mixed up for sure.
Insomniac and Naughty Dog were the only things appearing on my screen in the early days, because it was just like Crash Bandicoot and Ratchet and Clank.
Or Uncharted,
Uncharted. It was always those logos popping up first.
So that's a fair point, and I will say that, as Starwarp was saying in the chat, those teams produce good quality because they're not doing that much. Who's the team behind God of War Ragnarok again? Is that Insomniac as well? No. That's Sony Santa Monica, I want to say. But there's something too why those teams are able to produce a lot of qualities, because they're not juggling a lot, they're not focusing a lot of different, projects at a time, and that allows them to have a priority of focus. Sony Interactive Santa Monica Studio, that's what I thought. Like, they're not doing a bunch of different games. And God of War is one game we knew was coming out after 2018 that's slowly been getting made, and that game is going to be phenomenal. So if you tell me that, say, like Insomniac or Santa Monica is working on a new Marvel game besides Wolverine or God of War, I'd get excited, but then I'd also go, is this the B team, right?
Yeah.
Because there's an A team, and think about Platinum Games. Platinum Games, Bayonetta makes all these great combat games. They also made a lot of horrible games. Do you remember that TMT Manhattan game that came out like 2016, 2017? When their B team works on something, it's atrocious. And that's
Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, it was a Ninja Turtles game. Yeah. So it is interesting. And that's also a question too. Like Fallen Order sequels in the works, so even if there's a team adjacent to Fallen Order that's touched Fallen Order working on this one, then it still might not be the same. So we'll see. You know, EA's got a lot of bad rep, and at the very least, they're starting to build some favorable equity with Fallen Order. Hope, for the sake of me, a Star Wars fan, I hope they continue to make good stuff. But I'm also a realist, which is, you know, again, we'll wait and see. Anyways, we covered Witchers, Henry the Mustache Cavill leaving. We covered the EA Marvel deal.
So sad. I mean, just those shows and his passion behind it. I mean, that made me want to like pick up all the books and stuff and like make my way through them. You know, someone that didn't know about the franchise before 3 even came out. But...
Yeah, and I know last week we talked about the remake of the first one in the works. I do believe there was some news. I don't have it up here, but the producer, the new trilogy's found a producer, so they're finally locking in the talent that's going to be making that new game. As well, with the new games, so to say. So separate from the remake, there being 3 new Witcher games that are in the works as well. So you know, CD Projekt Red has got a lot on their plate right now. I did hear some discussion today that they might be looking to sell. I don't know who would buy them, but the conversation went along the line. Well, I think a lot of people are like, oh, Sony should buy Square Enix and Sony should buy CD Projekt Red. But the reality is that Sony doesn't have the cash flow for either. And the conversation went along the lines of CD Projekt Red being a publicly traded company doesn't have, you know, has so many different priorities. If they had like a Microsoft or someone else behind them as a publisher that could say, hey, you know what, you don't need to worry about making cash flow in a game that's not finished yet. You know, you can hold it back. So that's one of those things where, you know, people were talking idealistic about it, but I mean, CD Projekt Red turned around The Witcher 3. That came out to a bad launch. A lot of people don't remember it, but there was a lot of glitches and issues. Yeah, and obviously, Cyberpunk is a horse of a different matter, if that's the saying, because they literally took it off the PS storefront. But they turned that around too. People were positive about that now. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Did you play Cyberpunk?
I started it, and that's about as far as I got. I'm interested in it. I have it on PC, and my friends tell me like you should run that thing on Ultra with your 3090. And I'm like, I mean, I know it can handle it, but like I'm kind of like, I don't want to push it to the max. And they're like, that's like having a Lamborghini and driving the speed limit. So I'm gonna do it one day. There's just so much on my schedule right now that it's not there. The Witcher is more of a priority to me, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. But anyways, Alex, the mustache.
I was Chris Evans from The Gray Man, for Halloween.
Yeah, and Robert Downey Jr. in that one movie in the 90s where he gets sick.
Yeah, and everyone's dad in the 70s. And...
Yep. Yeah, you're everyone's dad. That's impressive.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: were you one to get on the train of any of these mini consoles that were coming out over the last few years?
No, I did the original. The OG, the one that rules them all, which was the cherry pie, the Raspberry Pi.
Gotcha.
Raspberry Pi. But
Gotcha.
No, it's just even with this. Well, we'll talk about it in the news here, but like any of them that were made, it's just you can play these games if it's for novelty's sake and collector's sake. More power to those people, but no, I was never a part of those.
Okay, so I had Sega Classic, the Sega Genesis Mini Classic, and the I never got the SNES or NES, but Sega Mini 2 essentially came out recently, and they had a survey in there. What kind of consoles would you want next? And there's reports people are hopeful that you might see a remake of Dreamcast, which it's interesting. Nintendo had a lot of success. There's hopes that they're going to do like a Game Boy Pocket one. But the reality is that like putting 3D games on a mini console like that, the cost to do that goes up significantly. Like you mentioned a Raspberry Pi. Those could somewhat.
Those ones.
Somewhat, but not truly. So you would actually need hardware better than that to a degree. Yeah. And at that point, you buy a SNES for what? What were those things like $30, $40, $50 maybe? That's a pretty good deal. you start putting those things on you start putting one out with 3D games on it. At that point, the price point changes significantly, and the value exchange is something different for the customer, right? And I don't know if you're really going to see this. I think it's still like Sega just trying to get some data, see what the future is hold. I tell you what, one thing I'd love to see, like a Game Boy Advance classic, something that has a bunch of classic Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. That would take my money quickly.
You don't think that's something that the Nintendo DS or the 3DS can already do? You just want, it's for novelty's sake. I don't know why.
Yeah. I mean, they released those
PS4.
They released they released those Game and Watch remakes of Link to the Past and all that. And it played the original version, then it played the Game Boy Advance version maybe too. So I mean, it's 100% novelty. It's targeted to adults, right? It's not for the kids.
Yeah,
it's for adults to have.
The SNES Mini was $80.
$80? Okay. I thought it was too.
80. Yeah, I couldn't imagine a Dreamcast climbing up to 100, 120.
Yeah. At that point, it feels like it's very much more of a niche collector's item, right? Like, $120 for like 10 games from the early aughts, which, it's an interesting thing. It is like, if they add features to it where it's online multiplayer and all that stuff, that'd be cool. But even then, at that point, you're asking for a lot more development, and that's even going to increase the cost more. So, anyways, that's the exciting news about mini consoles. It's something I know about you, Alex, is that you love Swedish meatballs.
IKEA.
Yeah. When was the last time you were at IKEA?
She's seeing the mustache.
She hasn't seen it yet.
No. She's just shaking her head. She's going to hurt her neck. How much she's shaking her head.
Brianna can relate to that.
So what'd you say? When was the last time I was at IKEA?
Yeah.
Probably weekly to get my fix on probably 16 meatballs, mac and cheese or mashed potatoes. Oh my gosh, I love those things. And the Ligenberry.
What's the Ligenberry?
It's just some Swedish berry. It's like kind of like a raspberry. I was thinking America would be like a blueberry sauce with the whole blueberries, but it's Ligenberries. And it's like a very tart. Some people don't like it because they think it's bitter, but it's a tart, slightly bitter berry. It goes great with everything on that plate.
They cranberry sauce.
Ligenberry juice too, and the fountain drinks if you want to go the extra mile for the Swedish experience.
Well, in terms of the
Swedish experience.
Yeah. I've only had the meatballs, and it's been a long time. There's none close to me. But I don't know if you saw this on the news list that a indie game maker. The game is called the Infinite Furniture Store. Hold on, let me get the name up.
Isn't that just Resident Evil Village? If you take too long in the houses in the basement.
I haven't played that one yet, so spoiler alert. Did you play that game?
No, but I saw a lot of scary VR footage that makes me not want to buy the game.
That's 7, right? Yeah. So the indie game maker behind the game, the Infinite Furniture Store, just got a cease and desist from IKEA's lawyers because the game itself has too much of a resemblance to IKEA. So the whole idea is it's a horror game. It's a Kickstarter campaign that's raised $50,000+, and the entire idea is that you have to make it outside of the store while it's closed, and it's never ending. And I mean, I don't know if you looked at the article, but if you do look at it, the assets right away communicate IKEA. The branding color is the same. Even the name that's used on the outside of the big box store, it's another Swedish acronym, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's green or it's blue and yellow and everything. Yeah, that seems intentional.
Yeah, so
it could have been orange and it would have been better.
And here's the problematic thing. The guy's been working on this for a long time. It's a one-man team, and IKEA basically said, "Hey, you need to change this before you launch, but you also need to change it in the next 10 days." So this guy's like got to halt all development and then basically start changing everything, which I don't know how you do that. I also don't know enough about the law around this to say like what's his argument as a maker to say, you know what? No, I have a reason, because like the blue and the yellow, I get.
Okay, jump scares. I'm done.
yeah, that's a part of the game. The blue and the yellow I get, and this is on Video Game Chronicle. IKEA has demanded an indie dev change his Infinite Furniture Store horror game. I get the blue and the yellow. IKEA's lawyers also talked about how the furniture itself looks like IKEA furniture, which the developer said, I don't understand. Wait, where's the exact quote from him? I bought generic furniture assets to make this game. I don't know what that means.
Exactly. They're like, your extremely liminal design is so generic that you can't just copyright generic furniture. But I was just looking at that. I was going to say, I can see more than 10 feet away. So I don't think that looks like an IKEA. You know, like I think I was surprised when as you were describing it, I pictured like very close quarters, very small room setups, but that thing looks like an open warehouse closer. Did Roomful Express give their opinion yet?
No, I think they're waiting for Big and Tall. I don't know. Okay. What's Burlington Coat Factory? No, that's clothing. Yeah.
No, I'll just throw it out. It's Living Spaces. They said go ahead. You know, I think they gave them the go ahead to just do it.
Yeah, the Home and Garden store hasn't said anything yet either.
No.
It's interesting because this impacts developers and creators. It also impacts precedents in law. And I don't know what's going to happen. Like, the guy's a small-time creator. He has no money to really fight this, but it is going to be curious if there's like a legal team that wants to be a quote-unquote Bill Murray with a mustache and save the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
yeah, it's weird because I just picture like, man, Heinz could really come after people if their bottles are too suggestive in video games for ketchup, you know?
Yeah, I mean my chat font over there is red, so I mean,
you might want to be careful how soon you post this.
Yeah,
but yeah, so it's generic furniture, and they said, yeah, we just used generic assets from. We bought these assets, and sorry that it looks like your design.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if the game didn't get a lot of publicity beforehand, IKEA never would have noticed it. But now they're going after it.
Just like every single person that posts their own Pokemon game in development on subreddits and expect that to work.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would do that, but that's my take if I was gonna develop something like that. But yeah, that's the store is closed. It's, you know, if you're interested in horror games, if you want to help the developer in the situation, go out, check it out. The store is closed. He's going through a tough time right now.
Is he stuck in an IKEA right now and it's closed? That's what it sounds like.
This sounds like it's from a personal experience.
Yeah.
Someone needs to get in there and leave a trail of lingonberries and meatballs to get him out of there.
Man, I'm just surprised. It would be funnier if he actually had, like, there was a, you know, cafe there with meatballs left over from the day, and yeah, but it seems a little petty. I just think that if he would have just did a different color scheme for that outside of that building, I think he would have flew right under the radar.
Yeah, it's the color scheme and using a Swedish name on top of it that would make IKEA go, wait a second. And then it seems like everything else is just kind of fabricated, like, the furniture, and you know, it's big. Well, so is Walmart, you know.
And
but
there's, you know, zombies after dark. So,
are you telling us something, IKEA, we should know? Is this why you always close the doors?
You're like, we need to lock this down now.
This is what the lingonberry is really made of.
This is where the meatballs come from.
Oh, that makes them tasty. Yeah, seems like an anti-common man move. It's not necessary. The IKEA wants to protect their brand. They also have lawyers who have a prerogative, and if they see something like this, they're going to do it to, you know, internally look good, I'm sure. But ultimately, I don't think IKEA gets damage from this game. People
get damage from me when everything's out of stock when I go there in California. Like, going to a actual IKEA store in the Bay Area is just, you're just going there to hopefully get out of there before it closes. That's it.
This is
game. Did you get in there and you're just waiting for your wife to get done shopping and you're just trying to find her or get out? Like, is it both?
That sounds terrifying. I have no idea.
Yeah.
There's a trailer for it. You could check that out. But again, you know, if
your wife is just a boss battle in this game that just follows you, like just chases you.
Honey! No.
Yeah.
Again, if there's a concern that there's some, you know, tacit, unspoken IKEA's this story can get lost in that goes on forever, people are going to have that impersonation or impression of IKEA without this game or not. And it just seems like IKEA is kind of confirming, yes, we know, but this game can't come out because we don't want people to know more. But like, yeah, I mean, it's a confusing story. That's why they got to put arrows on the ground. I'd get lost.
I expected to see arrows on the ground in that trailer. I was like, oh yeah, I can see IKEA. Like, yeah, this is us.
Yeah,
It's such
that's
a poor
IKEA.
design that we have to do arrows, but this guy's better at designing his game because he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. The game designer, there's the ground will light up when you're walking on it.
Yeah.
IKEA is going to copy that next year, though. LED lights. This guy's going to sue them. It's going to be good times. Speaking of suing, I can't do a transition with that. I want to jump ahead a few stories because there was a funny conversation. So chat, we have a Google spreadsheet that has all the articles we've been collecting over the over
it's
the
so
week.
grim too. You could read the URL because that was even more haunting to me.
So I put an article up there today before the show, and it's about a new game coming out. But this is what the headline, the URL says: Hideo Kojima's unannounced overdose has seemingly footage of Hideo Kojima's unannounced overdose has seemingly leaked. So naturally, the title I put in the news article headline is Kojima's overdose, to which your response right away before the show started was what?
I was like, dude, is this Hideo Kojima's overdose? Is that real? And there's footage of it now? Is that just a rumor?
Yeah. So it's a game.
It's a game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was going to say, because there's just it just seems so just like, oh yeah, it's item number 7. We'll get to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't want to joke around with the idea of that at all because it's a serious matter that's plagued millions of Americans. But it was funny whenever you were like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh no, that's the game. It's called Kojima's Overdose.
That URL could have been worded differently. I don't know if that was clickbait or something, but
yeah. So
next video game. That's all I had to say. That's all I had to say in the article title.
Well, did you play Death Stranding?
No.
Okay. And maybe that's a conversation for a different time. I've heard good things about the director's cut. But yeah, so Hideo Kojima's been on his own now for a few years. And it leaked a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, that a new game's coming out. It's supposedly called Overdose. So Hideo Kojima's Overdose. That's the studio. This game, video footage leaked, and it seems to be accurately, it seems to be real stuff. Because one, there's an actress in the footage that was in Death Stranding. So people were like, oh, that a CGI game, including an actress, what are the chances, right? 2, Kojima's now requested multiple people tear that down because the footage has gone wild. So all as you see, if you look up the game Overdose, you'll see a girl walking down an alley or dark corridors with a flashlight. Okay, and there's some spook scares and all that stuff, and then it ends. But it's a new game in the works. It looks phenomenal. We have no idea what it's about, right? I mean, Death Stranding, we had all kinds of trailers and marketing for. I had no idea what it was about. And I'm still not sure. I think it's a UPS game. I think it's propaganda for UPS's big hiring over the holiday season. But, it's significant because it's a very major leak. Somehow or another, this game footage got out there and this game is nowhere near done. I mean...
that seems to be happening a lot recently.
Yeah, which, here's a question. How much do you think that's due to the remote working structure that people transition to a degree?
Are you talking about breaches in security? Security, like someone accessing laptops because of firewall vulnerability from remote work? Or are you saying because they're remote, it's easier for them if someone wants to intentionally leak stuff? It's easier for them to do so at work.
Both.
Maybe. This very early gameplay footage being leaked, I don't remember that happening that much before the pandemic. I know, reviews sneaking out or games being sold early because, people have copies of it. You know what I mean? That stuff still happened, but this early gameplay footage stuff has been happening a lot this year. Maybe it is because of the remote work, but
yeah. I mean, the security breach thing's interesting because, when I work with major business clients, I have a lot of standards and protocols I have to follow, but that's because they have very robust infrastructure in place to protect extremely sensitive information. I can see a video game company, depending on the scalability of it, kind of not worrying about that much because they're like, well, we have everything here on site. So once they switch to that remote work, maybe there's a different policy they have to think through, but that's an assumption. I don't know. I could also see it being people that just want to be like, hey, leaks are real popular online. I'm just going to leak this. And Someone's going to get in trouble for that.
I know with the pandemic, at least, if they wanted to keep up any progress with that, this needed to happen fast. Getting people working home remotely, yeah, you can do this, like, plan it out months in advance and get the proper security built up. But I wonder how much of it might have been rushed or not as strong as it could have been, obviously. But yeah, I could see some vulnerability coming from that. But I think other than, you're either talking about greed or but individual leakers, if they're making any money off, like, hey, I'll give you this, if you want to leak it. Or just the remote work. Those are the only two things that would have spiked this year that caused those kind of these to keep happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. Which, I mean, Kojima's lawyers are acting aggressively, trying to take it down, which I think rightfully so. You're a creator. You have a right to contain how people experience what you're creating for the first time.
Yeah, and marketing and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a part of how people perceive it. That's a part of generating the excitement. Is the artistry and salesmanship around, like, Steve Jobs back in the day when he would unveil stuff. That was hype because he was good at that, and that's on stage. But all the different types of media and communication that come to reveal a game, like, that's a very similar thing, and just done in different iterations. So yeah, I hope the game turns out good. I want Kojima to have success. Now here's the unanswered question. He's already confirmed he's working with Xbox on a complete cloud project. We don't know if this is the same project or if that's something else, which this could be an Xbox exclusive game too. So, and it's smart on Kojima to at least get people like that to back him, because similar to what we were talking about with CD Projekt Red, when you have a publisher behind you, for the most part, you have a surplus of cash to depend on. You don't have to worry about profitability and a lot of other things like that in the short term. You can take the time on a project. Mm-hmm. I say for the most part because No Man's Sky happened and Sony invested in that and pushed it out way too soon. But I'm not sure if that's the full story there either, with how much of an investor they were or how much of marketing they were. So, okay. So we talked about IKEA. We talked about meatballs.
I gotta go there tonight. I think I was heading down that way. I passed one on 101. It's right there next to the highway. Just like in Robinson, you see it as you're on the highway. I think there's another one. They're always right next to the highway. Or maybe those are the only ones I see because they're on the highway. What am I doing? But yeah, I want meatballs now.
Oh, I mean, California is just one big highway, I feel like. Well, that's not true, but there's a lot of highway there.
One of them is just a parking lot. It's not really a highway, but it does fit 6 lanes of thousands of cars, but it's just a parking lot.
That's so convenient of them. Mm-hmm. That sounds like Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So some other news, Bungie. So Bungie, obviously makers of Destiny, now owned by Sony. Makers of Halo originally, obviously. They kind of paved the way for first-person experiences, first-person shooters back in the early 90s with a game that was exclusive to the Mac at the time called Marathon. I don't know if you remember hearing about this or anything like that. So when they made Halo, a lot of people were like, oh, this is great. This makes sense because they made Marathon. Now, there's been some scuttlebutt around the idea that Bungie is reviving the Marathon series. I've never played it. I don't know if anyone out there has played it, but we're not quite sure if this is going to be a full-fledged new entry on consoles and PC or potentially a mobile game. So
there's a lot of shooter on a mobile game.
The Marathon universe in general is something people are thinking is going to get revived. So there's a series revival in the works. They're thinking it might be a runner on mobile is what has been communicated. To which, Marathon. It sounds like a runner. Yeah.
That's the only thing I know of them for, and pain and suffering and a little bit of Runner's High, but yeah.
That's the sequel, Runner's High. So I don't know how you feel about that. You weren't much of a Halo player at all, I'm pretty sure.
No, but it's as you say that it's obviously Halo. I know, even no matter what opinion people had of Destiny, the first one or anything, you could play other games, but it just felt like the gunplay in Destiny was just like the best. And it's like no duh, and like the traversal and everything and all that, because they made Halo, so no wonder. And for that to go back even further, that I didn't know about this Marathon series, and they had experience with this even before Halo. It's kind of impressive. their,
Yeah.
I guess, influence and I mean roadmap in the first person shooter genre. I don't know. It's crazy their impact, I guess.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
still is one of the best feeling games, like the gunplay in Destiny. Even though like the grind is awful sometimes, or like how they handle the season passes and the content getting deleted later that you paid for previously, but like the gunplay is like one of the best.
Yeah. So there seems like there might be a handful of games around it, but to your point, Marathon greatly influenced what became Halo. And then Halo obviously greatly influenced Destiny 2.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it looks like this could be also a live service type of loot game as well. More focused on like PvP extractions and things of that nature, but nothing's confirmed. But they wanna venture out into an IP that's already theirs, and also I agree with you completely. I don't play Destiny 2 as much as I like to because there is a grind to it, and Destiny 2 to me was great at launch. The way it's set up now is hard to get me involved, but it's still
There's so
the
much
best.
to navigate now. It's good for the players because it's especially if you played it at launch. Like, um, here's the gameplay. It's just like the first one. Here's a whole bunch of content, but then more and more just kept getting added and kept getting added. And if you're like a newcomer to the series, or you took a year off and you're coming back, you're just
Exactly.
blasted, and you don't know
Yep.
where you're supposed to go. You don't know what's a waste of time because it's outdated. And there's so much there, which is great if you bought the game and you've been playing it from the start, unless you've done it all because you're just like grinding all the time. But like,
Yeah.
it just sounds like, hey, it's worth your money because look how much content there is. But it is overwhelming at this point for any newcomers, I think.
Yeah, and the people that I know that play Destiny still are people that have played Destiny their entire life. Well, not their entire life, since the beginning. I just gotta. Yeah, they were playing.
They're
10
years old.
Yeah,
They came right out.
yeah. PS2, PS3, PS4 controller in their hands.
PS4.
They had a mobile phone on the side, the companion app, so they get all the
Yeah.
lore. Right, that's how they learned how to read. And
Yeah.
no,
Baby's
so
first present was a white PS4 launch with Destiny bundle.
that you had that, right?
I had that, yeah.
Yeah, you had that, and you had that small monitor. You were living in Pittsburgh somewhere, I forget. I remember.
Still with me. That was 10 years ago, but I still have that little. Not this one. I still have it because I traveled on the road. I worked on the road all the time, so I always carried my PS4 was in my backpack, and I had my little TV, HDI compatible, and I took that to every hotel, every job site I went on. I had that with me. It was compact. Yeah, I was playing Destiny 4 on a little. Oh my gosh, here it is. Right behind me, actually. It's not plugged in right now, but look at this little guy. This is what I was playing Destiny on the PS4.
Yeah. I remember moving you from someplace in Pittsburgh. I think, yeah. That's
the same one.
Yeah, hold on to that. That might be worth something someday. Not the PS4, the
novelty
monitor.
When they released the Saint Sui Mini.
Yeah. It all comes back.
Yeah.
It all comes back. So yeah, I mean, hey, if they make another game, great. But I agree. For me, someone who played it at the beginning, did not play the DLCs, and comes back to it now, I kind of can go like, oh yeah, I can get into this. My nephew, I got him the game, and he was like, oh, this game's great. What's going on? And his answer to that was, go watch this like 3-hour video on YouTube. And even then, it's like, that's a lot. I could watch a good movie with that time. I don't want to watch something that explains all this lore, because by the time you get to the stuff that's relevant in Destiny 2, it's kind of like, wait, what? Who are these people? What's going on with worm eaters? What's a witch? I'm
not gonna lie, I'm interested in the old artwork for this. It's like, no wonder they made Halo. Like, you can tell if you just showed someone all this, they'd be like, is that Bungie?
Yeah,
because but I'm excited. If it's like Destiny, I'd get it. If it's like Halo and focused around multiplayer and stuff, I'm still not into that. But they could do a lot with this.
Yeah, and again, it's not everyone played it since it was Mac exclusive, and not everyone knows about it. But I mean, if you're a Halo fan, or if you're an original Halo fan or a Destiny fan, this is something that could be up your alley. And yeah, we'll see what it amounts to. But speaking of amounting and talking about large amounts, PSVR 2.
Meatballs. Oh.
Meatballs. Yes, meatballs. So, Alex, how do you feel about VR?
I am prone to motion sickness. Having said that, the one time I think I was house sitting for you or dog sitting.
Yeah.
And I think I played Beat Saber and Astro's Playroom.
Yeah.
I like for 10 hours straight. I couldn't get enough of it. It was Tetris effects. Oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was fine in there. I haven't done anything else with it.
Yeah.
Because I don't have one and I don't live near you anymore.
Yeah, well, that's your fault. But I will tell you this, the PSVR was a great entryway to VR for people that didn't have a PC that was high end and the high end money. Because like back in the day when VR, before the Quest came out, you probably had to have a PC that was worth a couple grand and then spend over $1,000 just for the hardware to make the VR system work on top of that. Then you had PSVR come out for the PS4. And honestly, that was my first home PSVR experience. That was great. That was phenomenal. Because I could own a PS4, which was a couple $100, right?
You also had a lot of room down there in the basement.
The basement, yeah.
The dungeon.
The dungeon. It was very much a dungeon.
You hit your head on the chains every once in a while, but it was a lot of room.
Yeah, people screamed, but it was okay.
It blocks it out.
Yeah, the VR blocked it out. But yeah, the PSVR was great. And I think at the time the PSVR came out, it was a couple $100, maybe like $300 for the all together product. And the PS4 at that time wasn't that expensive. It might have been PS4 Pro that it worked best with, which was then probably like $300, $400 maybe. I think what's happening here is so just right off the bat, this is coming out of $550 PSVR 2, which is more expensive than the PS5, right?
Yep.
Now that's causing a lot of people to have very drastic reactions at the moment, and you got something to say? Yeah.
Do you need to have a PS5 to run this thing, or does it run on its own?
You do. You need it to have a PS5. You need a PS5. Okay. Yeah. So here's the thing. This version of the PSVR is got a lot better internals than the PSVR 1 ever had. It's got better internals than most of the original Rifts and HTC Vives. It's more aligned to what you get with like an Index in terms of internal technology. You got, I think, extremely high resolution, extremely high refresh rate. So what you get inside is gorgeous. Like it's some of the best VR, visual experience you can have. And for the most part, you'd have to spend a lot more money to get that for your PC version, I would say. Mm-hmm. That being said, I think the Quest came about and kind of ruined not ruined. I want to say, meta aside, which that's a whole other fiasco, the metaverse, the meta company. To get people involved in VR, in my opinion, you need to get everyone involved to make it like an actual big marketplace. And for the most part, these remain high-end consumer items. But then the Meta Quest 2 came in and said, hey, give us a couple $100. You don't have to hook anything up. It's all internal tracking. Just put it on your head and have this really easy experience to play. Like I don't think you've ever played with a Quest, have you?
No, but as soon as you mentioned Meta, I knew the word tracking was going to get involved in there somewhere. And yep,
fair enough. There you go. That was good.
It had to get stuck in there because that's all they want.
Well, you use the My PSVR, right? So you'd have to put that on. You'd have to make sure that the lights were perfect. You'd have to make sure it could see the controllers. You'd have to make sure the camera was good, all that. With the Meta, you put it on, and then you see your room, and you see everything perfectly. You create your boundary, then you go. And it's just, it was, I want to say $200, maybe $300 to get that. Yeah. And I played Beat Saber on it. I couldn't tell the difference between Beat Saber on that and Beat Saber on the PSVR. Now, I guarantee you there's a difference. But it's again, it's all internal. You don't need hardware to run it, anything like that. And if I want, I could take that Quest, I could plug it into my high-end PC, and then I could play every PC exclusive VR game to it on all of the weird VR marketplaces out there. Mm-hmm. So like there's that availability that makes it, more friendly to the consumer what they get out of it. And I think that's the problem with how people are seeing the price of the PSVR too. That is like, it's the hardware makes the price worth it. It's just the fact that it's so expensive compared to the PS5, and the fact that people can get a Quest. And again, this is exclusive to Sony hardware. Like if you could use the PSVR 2 on your PC, people probably wouldn't be as up and about it right now. But I don't know. I think games are a problem too, but I could see someone like you, Alex, getting this in like 3 years.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm more interested in it now because I know this is a big jump from the first one. I just, at least on Reddit, at least the people are gushing about this one, and they're the ones that have already been playing the PSVR. That
Yeah.
has me more interested in it. Um, but it is kind of strange, Here's something that costs more than a PS5, and it's announced. Did they say when it's released yet? Do you know that off the top of your head?
I think February, I want to say.
That's still pretty soon. Like if they would
Yeah.
have said this is next summer or next fall, I would be like, okay, cool. But like just now, people are finally they've been looking for PS5s for is it almost 3 years now? 2 years now. Are just now getting their PS5s, and so it's weird for something to come out more expensive than the device that you need. So people are gonna have to like double dip if this is something they're really looking forward to.
Yeah, and they were looking at the launching for this in other countries. Like it's launching for like 75,000 yen in Japan, which is equivalent roughly to a couple $700 or so in America. So they're wondering if you're going to see it more expensive just with inflation and everything going up. I mean, Microsoft is going to increase their prices. The Quest launched at 300. P. Tony in the chat confirmed that, but they increased their prices by $100. Like everyone's increasing their prices right now overall, which is a weird thing for us as gamers to experience. I don't think we've ever had that happen in our lifetime, but it happens in economies throughout.
It just happens during console jumps or generation jumps.
Yeah, and so it's weird to see it mid-season or mid-generation, but so I think that's a weird thing for people is the price compared to the PS5. But the games as of right now that have been announced as exclusive to the VR2, nothing really new or groundbreaking. Things that were either already available or are gonna be upgraded for your VR2 experience. Which props to Sony for at least saying if it was a game that was available on PSVR and it's now an upgraded version, we're going to upgrade it for free for you if you already have that game, which is nice. Yeah. Quest 2 launched at $299. Now it's $399. Quest 2 to me was like the NES of home generation consoles, but for VR. Like it didn't give you the arcade experience, but it was affordable. It was super easy to use and it was entertaining, right? And I think that's what the Quest 2 did, and I think that's what VR is going to have to do to make people want to play VR. Now, here we are with the PSVR 2. What I will say, the people that made Astrobot, that game is great.
Yep.
Like
I've never heard anyone say anything bad about that.
Yeah, they haven't announced.
Just keep doing this. Just do this.
That was an amazing experience in VR. I never thought a platformer in VR would be fun. That was an amazing experience. They made the PS5 launch game, right? What was that again? Astro's
Playroom?
Playroom. Was that the launch game? That wasn't VR.
The PS5? I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So that same team's working on a sequel for the VR version. That hasn't been announced yet. So a game like that will probably sell some hardware, but yeah, it's just I know this will probably die over.
What, the price?
The conversation around it. The price is not changing. But I think again it's just that confusion of like
the way inflation's going, the announcing of it at $550 come February will be like, man, that would be $750 in 2023 bucks.
Yeah.
But yeah. Be like, wow, we're getting at a deal now.
Yeah, I don't think the price is going anywhere. I could see it getting more expensive like everything else in a year or two. I just think that which again, to that point, it's going to sell less, but people not like it is equivalent more to an index in terms of internal guts. And that's supposedly a really nifty VR experience in terms of like fidelity of graphics and all that stuff. Like it's good. This thing has 120 refresh rate, which you don't get that on most console experiences, but you can have that for your VR, which supposedly might help with people that have a VR sickness. Effie, what do you need right now? You go lay down. She's fine. Yeah.
Oh. What's Brianna doing down there? Tell her to.
No, she's in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be high end on the consumer market for sure for now. But speaking of the low end of the consumer market, I want to talk about something that happened this week between meatballs. Yeah, this is the meatballs of gaming. This is everyone can play this game. Who doesn't love a meatball? If you don't love a meatball, I question you. I question everything about you.
Okay, good. No one's raising their hand in the chat, so everyone loves meatballs.
There we go. There we go. So this week, what happened? I told you about a game, Alex. What was that game called?
Oh gosh. You were like, "Hey, guess what I'm playing? Playing Marvel Snap," and I'm like, "Is that like a Pokemon Snap?" Because that's all I got. You're like, "No, it's a mobile game," and I was like, "Uh-oh." And he's like, "I'm not spending any money, I promise." I'm like, "That's how they get you."
Yeah.
But no, I did download it.
So that's how it started. It started the night before. I was like, I'm playing this game. It's really fun. The shtick this week is going to be, can I continue to play this game without spending any money? You have to hold me to that Friday's episode, right? So I told you about that, what, Monday night, maybe?
Yeah.
I want to, yeah. And so then Tuesday I call you and we're talking about it. And you're like, well, who's the game? And above, I'm like, it's made by the same guy that made Hearthstone. He just left Activision Blizzard and made his own company. It's
And
completely free to play. Yeah.
Still a little apprehensive about that because I know people sink a lot of money into that.
So it finally transitioned whenever you said, but wait, do I have to spend any money? Like, is there a limited amount of like times I can play per day? Is like there energy exhaustion? Yeah, stamina. Yeah. I said, no, not at all. He's like, all right, I'm going to download it now. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And that was it. Then I don't hear from you for like 6 hours, maybe 7 hours, 8 hours. It was later that night.
It was it was like 6 hours later. I asked you what's your power level? I asked you like give me your card level and your rank, and I was like, you're like, I don't know what it is. I'm like, it's the green thing on the top of your screen and the lower right screen. Give me those numbers.
Yeah.
And those numbers were?
For me, it was 3 and 2, right?
Yeah.
And what were yours, Alex?
I'm at 243 and 36.
What were yours 6 hours after you downloaded the game?
Oh, let me go back to my text. 6 hours after I downloaded the game. Well, man, where is this even? 71 and 25. Oh, yeah. Wow. So since that text message, I went from 71 to 236. So I have a problem.
But have you spent any money on it?
No, and that's the thing. There is like a season thing. Okay, so guys, whoever doesn't know about Marvel Snap, it's a mobile game. If you ever played Witcher 3, the closest thing I can think of, because I've never played Hearthstone. Is it anything like Hearthstone? Have you played that, Mark?
I've not, but it's made by the same guy. So, I mean...
I don't know the design of Hearthstone at all, and I don't know if anyone who's playing this game probably has played that. But picture Gwent, but vertically, and it's only 3 fields, but there's 3 separate fields that you lay these cards on, and every single card you lay down has different effects, and every single field, like the middle, the left, and the right field, every single game it's randomized what those effects are. So every single game is different. That's the replayability. And I got hooked onto it because it seems super fair. Like I've played people where I'm laying down like some poor hands and stuff, but I end up winning, or I see how they win in like the last turn, and I'm like, that was a smart way to play. You know, like they doubled all of their ongoing cards on the last thing, and that just seems like, oh, I didn't expect that. But it's super addicting because like every single game is different.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the free to play aspect of it. So there's a thing called a season pass going on, and I thought if you get enough experience to get up to level 50, you know, in a season, that it would unlock everything and you wouldn't have to pay. I thought the paying was just a shortcut. Well, I got to level 50 and it didn't unlock anything. That stuff is still behind a paywall, but it's only for 2 months. And it turns out, so let's say you like Miles Morales and he unlocks in level 50 for this season. It's actually just a variant of Miles Morales. Same with Spider-Woman and Carnage. I already had a Spider-Woman card, and I saw the card that was going to be unlocked for this season is the same exact card, just different designs. So like even the stuff that's behind the paywall, those cards already exist in the pool. Those are just variants. Now, I don't know. Okay. I've only played it for, combined 80 hours in 3 days. So I don't know if like how much of those are brand new cards, but it all goes into the pool. You really don't have to spend anything. And it's a lot of time flies by on this thing. You're just constantly playing other people. It's all PvP, I think. I think there's some bots mixed in there. You can kind of tell. But yeah, it's all just like competitive.
Yeah.
So I played a lot of that this week.
Yeah. So that is a good headway into our other story too. Like the game's fun. I play it whenever I'm like, I want to get off social media. This is dumb. I'm going to check something else out. It's like I said, the money's there to spend, but there's nothing about it that makes me go, yeah, I really want to spend my money on that now. It's a good game to some degree. You want to support the people making the game. It's made by Second Dinner, which that's an awesome name. And it's led by Ben Brody, who was the director of Hearthstone as well. Bishop got involved. Bishop was in the time travel.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Saying, 80 hours and 3 days break space time. I'm impressed from P. Tony. I'm like, well, there's a lot of Marvel characters that do that.
Yeah, there are. Like, fair point. They released a roadmap recently. So one of the things coming out really, really soon is the ability to do PvP against your friends. So a friends list and all that stuff. So I will not play you, obviously, because
we are not friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're definitely not friends. And also, you would crush me right now. But they're still working.
No, I'm really telling you, no, it's not the case. I may have more cards than you, but like you can, if you're just using a different strategy, I'm losing to people that have like starter cards and stuff just because I wasn't prepared for like a certain strategy that they're using. And those 3 lanes, like the last one could flip and completely ruin what you had planned, and it would just it just favors the other person how they're playing. Like it really isn't lopsided. It's impressive actually. Like I'm surprised how balanced it can be with the pool of cards that are available. But
Effie, what are you doing?
Sorry. Yeah, I would destroy you.
yeah, you have a lot more experience in scenarios. But yeah, so they released a roadmap. So coming soon, so in the near future, I would say before the end of this year at the very least, a global mobile launch. So the game's only in US right now, maybe some North America areas, Canada.
That's why it's easy.
Yeah, PC early access. So this is something that interests me. I would play this game on my PC more than my phone, probably, if I could just have it there and click and play, Localization times 13. I have no idea what that means. I imagine that means bringing it to more markets with the better language. A welcome bundle experience. So something that you get as a new player, probably, a lot of doohickeys and doodads, different cards and stuff like that. A reward delivery inbox system. Again, not really sure what that means. And variant rarity system. So they're going to change up and improve the variant rarity system. So these grades are going to be considered rare or not. The part that wonders, is this something that gets you into NFTs conceptually without the technology? Where you're like, I have this Carnage variant and it's I can trade it to my friend. It's worth this much. Like, obviously, they're not going to let you start selling it because, it's going to be exclusive to this technology in this game. But the idea of playing a card game where you could have a card I want and you could trade it for me, like that to me is kind of cool. But again, it's not with all the hoopla of NFT and privatization and markets and all that stuff. It's just like, here's this digital asset. We're just using plain old technology. You want it, I'll trade you for it. But we're gonna apply rarity to all these different cards. I was
gonna say the cards in the game, there are no duplicates. There's no duplicates. So like if you wanted my Deadpool, I would be giving you my Deadpool. So like I wouldn't have that variant anymore. I could see the only way that would work is they would throw that card back into the pool for me to get.
Yeah.
By the way, when you rank up your card ranks and stuff, a random card is thrown to you. And it's like there's an initial pool, I think of 200 characters. I don't know how much, but let's just say it's 200. So those random cards you get, it's only from those 200. And as soon as you get all 200, you enter the next pool. And you're only playing people that have cards from that next pool. So you technically get 0 to 200 first. And then you start diving into another pool of more variants. So like, I won't have like a couple of Deadpools of the same variant and be like, here, Mark, you can have my copy. I would be giving up my only copy of whatever rarity it is. By the way, the rarity, you level up the rarity. Everything starts out at uncommon and you get random rewards at the end of a match. You can level it up to rare. You can level it up and it doesn't change the strength, changes nothing about the card except for the visuals. You can leave every card unranked up and it doesn't affect the gameplay at all. It's just visual.
Yeah. So again, if you're like Alex, you'll be hooked quickly. If you're like me, you'll have a lot of fun with it, but put maybe 2 hours into it.
I do like the artwork and the fact
it's very cool. It is very cool.
It's addicting gameplay and you can support them by spending money if you want, but you don't have to. It's pretty cool.
I would agree.
I was surprised by it completely.
It seems to be well balanced in a lot of what it's throwing at you, so I like it. But yeah, so there's an unranked mode coming out in development. Battle mode, those friends, as I said already, collector's tokens, PC widescreen, new titles, and then something that's being conceptualized right now and being worked on before they build it in the game. New competitive modes, so changing up the actual actual game, guilds and social systems, so you could have your own guild, in-game events, which they kind of messed with the symbiote invasion recently with Halloween. I don't know if you noticed that, but there was some like special things going on. So they're going to continue that, which I think is cool. I think that keeps the game fresh. A leaderboard, collectible emotes, and card emojis, and mythic variants. So a new rarity in general. So watch out. Yeah. Mythic sounds important. So I figured you need something. Come here. Just get my lap. So yeah, that's exciting. The only thing I want to talk about, because I feel like Marvel Snap is a game we would kind of include in our games playing, but just to wrap up news before we switch to that conversation in general, we talked about leaks earlier, obviously. Street date leaks. So I don't know if you saw this, but God of War Ragnarok and Sonic Frontiers both experienced street day leaks because someone at like a Target or a Walmart essentially put the game out for sale when it wasn't ready to go out on sale. Someone bought it, they went home with it, and now they played it. In fact, I just saw earlier tonight before we started the show, Twitch and Sega are actively working together because people are streaming Sonic Frontiers right now. And you know, the game shouldn't be out yet, so they're working to squash that. I bring it up because there's this interesting thing that happened with Call of Duty this week, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And this is something Star Wars brought up. But you get that CD, you still have to download it in 80 gigabyte patch, right? Which is kind of crazy. When you buy
like
a game,
500 megabytes on the CD, I think it's so small.
When you buy a game that's physical, you want that. Now, something like God of War Ragnarok, which is story driven, the experience matters, all that stuff. And kind of going to our conversation earlier with Kojima's new game overdose. How that leak's not great, right? You want to control the experience, you know what I mean, and like how you present it. You know, Cory Barlog, director, producer of God of War Ragnarok, he said like he wasn't upset about the leaks, but he did say, someone like me, this makes me wonder about the value of having only a download action on a disc. So the fact that happened, that statement alongside this Call of Duty question, it does make me wonder if people are going to pursue it. Now, I'm against it. Like, I get the idea that, hey, you want that experience and how you deliver it matter. I think that matters, and you can control that a lot better before the game's out. But when you get to that like last mile solution where the game's gold, it's going to be shipped to stores soon, you're going to run into those issues. And I don't want you to radically change how physical media is consumed and how it works versus just like basically giving me a useless piece of metal whenever, you know, they decide to shut off the servers to download it. Yeah. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Keep talking. I got to go take care of my dog, but I can hear you.
Oh no, not this again. No, I can't entertain the chat. Everyone just start spamming the chat with something for me to talk about. Oh my gosh, I always blank on this. No, you can't do this. I don't think it's fair to people that don't have either strong internet or internet at all, because they have to come home with a game and it's like an 80 gig download, and if their internet's crappy, that thing's going to take 12 hours to download, or they just can't purchase a game, a hard physical copy, come home and play it without a download or a day one patch. They just won't be able to do that now. And I just feel like if the disc is only going to have a key, that it has to be disclosed on like the physical case. Because I just feel like it's unfair to anyone who wants to buy the game, go home and play it without an internet connection, for them to be deceived and end up at home. And no one's spamming the chat. I agree. So yeah, I think I should take a break and just go shave this mustache off before he gets back. Go! What does he mean by take care of the dog? Can't stream. I can't do anything. Marble Snap. I'm going to get rid of my mustache.
Yeah, I hear him. I heard what he said. I know what he's doing. It is what it is. Yeah, I mean, I agree with his comments overall. Like, again, the internet thing, the idea of making something available to the average gamer, and again, the whole entire point of
Yeah, you heard me.
yeah, I heard you. I'm not shaving this until Saturday night. Plutarch, what do you want? Plutarch wants. You remember my dog? You remember Plutarch? Come on.
Yeah, I was asking about him earlier.
Come here. Come on, Bubbish. Where's you going? No, don't do that. He went on almost 4 miles of walking. I noticed completely. What do you mean? I heard you. I have this on.
Go ahead. Last time you ripped your headset off.
Yeah, I didn't do that this time. But no, I agree with what you said about the game. Like the idea of physical media and what it represents overall. Cory Barlog's statement, I get it. He's bummed out that everything was leaked, but I mean, movies get leaked too. And that happens when they're in that last mile kind of equation of they're in the hands of some random guy at a movie theater that's just like, hey, look at this, got this, You can't control that situation entirely without radically changing how people consume and purchase your product. And I don't think that should happen. I think you'll actually get less sales in the long run because of things like you mentioned, which is like, hey, I bought this game, I want to buy it, but my internet does suck, and it is going to take like another day for me to download it. So like, why buy it? No, it's interesting.
And it's going to be, you're going to have to face that music.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I remember back when PS4, I used to like buy the stuff that released and let it download overnight. So you put it on before going to work for the Friday, and it would be ready when you get home. But yeah, it just sucks getting so excited for something coming home and just knowing you have to wait longer. But
yeah, no, I agree. I think there's obviously the perpetual change between physical and digital, and how like Series S coming out, it's a completely digital console. The PS5 Slim, which is just, I mean, PS5 digital, completely digital. People are okay with that, but I still don't think most people are there. So at least they did get better with download speeds internally. Like when I download something on my Xbox, it gets up to 500 gigs download sometimes. The last consoles weren't optimized for to handle that speed. So but yeah, no, that's the news for the week. It's exciting news. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. IKEA might kill somebody metaphorically in terms of their project. Konami's got a new game. Kojima's got a new game coming out. Yeah. But again, switching to games we're playing, what have you been playing besides Marvel Snap? Or has it just been Marvel Snap?
I was doing Marvel Snap. And because of Gotham Knights, I wanted to revisit Arkham. So I just Arkham City, I think, is on the it's called Back to Arkham, I think, but it's on the PS Plus, so it's just free. So I just downloaded that and I was playing that this week because I just remember the combat being so much more fluid and everything. So I was playing City.
It's a great game. That's my favorite game.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But yeah, I just like the combat and the villains and stuff in it. It's just so dense. So yeah, it was nice revisiting that after Gotham Knights and Marvel Snap.
Yeah. Nothing else on your horizon. You gonna get God of War?
I have got to finish the first one, and I just don't have the time for that right now.
Wow. So would you say that are those games maybe not your cup of tea per se, or
it used to be. I was playing so many I think I was just playing so many fast-paced games at the time, like where you're in control the whole time. I had no time for cutscenes, and I think I was even going back and playing older games just for the gameplay and the trophies, like just brute forcing my way through the gameplay. Then I was skipping cutscenes and stuff. So like when I finally put God of War in, I was just like, oh, come on, cutscene after cutscene. And then he's just like walking down the trail and so boy and stuff. And I was like, I can't do this right now. I need to go throw in Dynasty Warriors and knock out thousands of people. Like I had no patience for it. But hearing the raving leaked reviews of this new one, I feel like it's worth the investment now to brute force my way, treat it like a movie that I am interacting with, a story that's going to pay off just to build up to the second game. But I got to play the second game, and I got to do it after. I mean, I just got to do it when I'm done with, not done, but like when the semester's over for my master's.
Yeah.
I got to sink my teeth into that.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny you say the whole cutscene argument because frankly, that's what made me quit Kingdom Hearts. And I know you love Kingdom Hearts.
First of all. We can talk back about God of War. Don't come at me about it.
Hey, you can say whatever you want about God of War. I understand what you're saying. I just think like Kingdom Hearts, at least Kingdom Hearts 3.
No,
1 and 2
right,
I liked.
That's one of the ones that it's exactly it. I gone back through like the trilogy, but I skip everything. You know, I just play it for the gameplay because I sunk my time into the story long ago. You know, but you're right. It's the same thing. If you felt the pacing was off every time a cutscene comes around, and he's like Kyrie, you know, and Donald and Goofy.
Yeah, I mean,
same thing. That's how I felt.
Yeah, and that's like I'm gonna go back to Kingdom Hearts 3, especially when it's on the Steam Deck when I finally put it on the Steam store. But like that pacing, the beginning of that game was just like, oh, this isn't like if it was
exposition.
Yeah, I just want to play and fight stuff and level up and give me exposition, but don't put it in the middle of a level. And at the very least, God of War has a certain flavor to its themes that make me go, I'll watch this violent fight scene. Like, this is cool. And from a cinematic perspective, you know, that does the approach of one camera shot the entire time. You know, so like
that's what I was thinking.
At least the game.
I remember them. This easily could have been a cutscene, but they have you doing the walking or the looking around. Like, it's a little bit more interactive.
Yeah. So there's an artistic flair to it that you don't get in Kingdom Hearts. But I get you. I see where that's coming from. I think you should finish it. I think someone like you who likes challenges and trophies, the Platinum and God of War 2018, some of the most challenging combat, but also people like Dan Reichert who will say, Dark Souls, will be like, oh, this was great. And it's like, I think it's the
Valkyries?
Valkyries in God of War. Yeah.
Yeah, I've already seen someone saying, like, I'm trying to finish this game. But the Valkyries are the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know the context for any of that. But yeah, I'm going to force my way through it.
I'm going to encourage you to put down Marvel Snap and try it. I think you'll like it. But yeah, I mean, that comes out next week. And I know the reviews have been out this week for it. I think that was planned perhaps to get people hyped for it. But it very well could have been like, oh, the game's leaked. Let's just have the reviews, lift the press release. Everyone published their stuff. But like, there's all kinds of official reviews out there. I saw one article say this is the greatest PlayStation game yet. And I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, you gotta worry. You gotta be careful about a lot of quick clickbait stuff. Just wait for it to come out and wait for people's opinions. But it's the studio that made the first one that great. It's gonna be extremely hard to drop the ball on this one. So
yeah, and it's a continuation of the first story too. It's not like it's like part 1 and part 2 more versus a true sequel story, really, which I think is I think there's something to that in terms of like God of War 2018 felt like a full package. It didn't feel halved or anything like that, but it still continued and perpetuated a story that it's really finishing now in the second one, supposedly. So,
you know, it's interesting that you made that or said that because I saw people saying that this felt like it could have been, or one of the reviews said it felt like it could have been 2 games. Like they're ironing out a trilogy here, but this sequel, this part 2. Felt like it could have been 2. It feels like 2 games smashed into one. It's so dense.
Yeah.
And it probably has like 2 big acts. But like, yeah, I think what you felt about the first one, I think you're going to be happy with this one.
Well, no, I want to play it. I'd have to get a PS5 maybe sometime next year earlier on. I'm not really worried about that. There's already so much on my plate. Again, God of War Ragnarok and Final Fantasy 16 are 2 games that would make me want a PS5. Oh, Wolverine. Let's be honest. It's Wolverine. When that game comes out, I'll probably I don't know. I'll get one, I'm sure. But yeah, those games I think those are console sellers in my eyes. For me, I have a handful of games up here I want to be playing. I'm still playing The Old Republic. That game's fantastic. They're getting new content to it. There's a live stream from the developer team at BioWare. This is Knights of the Old Republic or Jade Empire, but just living online RPG in Star Wars, and it's good Star Wars storytelling. I'm 60 hours into the Jedi Knight storyline. I don't even know when it's going to end, but there's so many people that say like, the Sith Inquisitor story is great, or the Sith Lord story is great. Like, you got to play them all, and so I'm gonna continue to just play through that, especially when I stream it. That's my go-to streaming game for a while now, and it's been a blast. I'm really happy with it. Now off stream, I did start playing Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope.
Let me tell you. Sequel to...
Yeah. Mario Rabbids something. What was the first one called? Kingdom Battle.
Yeah. But yeah, how's the second one?
It's great. Like, I'm probably 2 to 3 hours in. I got a Let's Play up on YouTube. First part.
Is everything 2 to 3 hours in?
I don't know. That's just how my brain works. But it feels like the first one, but then it feels like they did a lot of like, how can I describe this? So this one feels like a mix between obviously the first Mario Rabbids games, but like, what if we took concepts from Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy? Not just like the themes, but also how those games work. Like I'm in the first world and it's like I can explore this first world freely, and there's all kinds of like shines or stars to collect that are separate from the main storyline that take me into these different experiences once I go into them, as if I'm like jumping into a portrait or something like that from Super Mario 64. And it's like I'm completely getting distracted from the main storyline. I'm like, I want to see how much I can do before I get through. And then as you do the main story, parts of the world open up. It's real creative and fun. It's fantastic. And then the combat's evolved. This is not Halo combat evolved. This is Mario Rabbids combat evolved. It's what you remember about the first one in terms of great strategy gameplay, but the movement's different, slightly upgraded. Yeah, I'd recommend it for sure. Anyone's on the fence for that, I definitely recommend it. And yeah, you're gonna get Rayman in this game, which, let's be honest, that's when Ray, not Ray. It's a DLC. Yeah, they've already confirmed there's a DLC in the works.
Oh, like Donkey was thrown in the first one. Donkey Kong.
Yeah, like the Donkey Kong DLC was confirmed before when that first one came out. This one's with Rayman, and that to me is awesome, because part of me hopes that you get a true new Rayman game as well, which those are fun games. So yeah, I recommend it. Besides that, I have Bayonetta 3 to try, and then Harvestella. So I don't know if you heard about Harvestella. I wanted to play it this morning. I wanted to come into the stream with an update on it. But I got up this morning. It was supposed to be released today. It released on Switch today. Steam released did not get unlocked until like 12 p.m. today, which at that point I was streaming, so I couldn't play it. And then I had work to do afterwards. So I was working between stream and now. But Harvestella, are you a fan of like Stardew Valley or any of those farming games?
What do we just talk about pacing? No, I don't have the.
Well, this might be.
I know people are huge fans of it and stuff, but I can't.
So here's why you might want to listen. Imagine,
is Harvest Moon a thing? Is this a sequel to Harvest Moon?
No, I mean inspired by, because Harvest Moon definitely set the tone for farming sims. But imagine if you had a fully fledged Square Enix JRPG that was focused on combat and exploration and dungeons, and also was a life/farming simulator as well.
Was this on the Nintendo Direct?
Yeah, I think over the summer.
Like 8 farming games on that Nintendo Direct. Now I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, Harvestella was announced a few months before that one, but that most recent Nintendo Direct was the Direct of Farming Sims. Harvestella was the one I'm excited about. But yeah, this is very much Square Enix saying, let's make a farming sim game that is also heavily about combat and fighting too. So I'm curious, like, to me, that could be a game I sink tons of hours into, since I love Stardew Valley. All I do is pick radishes all day. So if, there's combat in that game, but it's very basic. But this is a lot more in depth. So again, that finally came out. I downloaded it while I was getting ready for the show. I'm gonna try that this weekend. And then that's pretty much it. Republic Commandos, a Star Wars game from the early aughts. I don't know if you remember that game. Did you watch Clone Wars at all, the cartoon?
Yeah, I know Republic Commando. I think wasn't that on the PS2?
PS2, GameCube, probably Xbox One. Yeah. They did a re-release a few years ago. Well, so first off, those games have all been on PC for a while. I mean, you could get all those old school Star Wars games on PC, like Bounty Hunter and all that stuff. But they ported Republic Commando, Pod Racer. I don't know if you remember that one. Yep. All those games, Jedi Knight, the third entry into like the Dark Forces series. They brought those all to like PS4, PS5, Xbox, Nintendo Switch about a year ago. And I got Republic Commando on PC because I've never played it. I love Clone Wars, the show. Love Star Wars, so I'm going to do a playthrough of that at some point as well, just because I want a good story, and I've heard great things about this game. Like people are big fans of it, so that's really it. I mean, I'm trying to think what else is coming out. Pokemon's the next real big game probably coming out that I'll buy.
Yeah,
that's in
November 18th.
Yeah. Oh, snap. I just realized I have surgery on the 17th, so that means that entire week I have off. Pokemon comes out.
Yeah, I might be going to a cabin in the Sierra Nevadas that weekend, but I'll take that with me.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there's not a large download for you because you'll be out of luck with the internet in the Sierra Nevadas. Yeah. I want to check them beforehand. Oh, anything else you're looking forward to?
Crisis Core in December. That's right around the corner as well. Pokemon. If I can find time to play God of War, then I'll buy the sequel as well. But Crisis Core is coming out, and then I'm off to the Philippines for a couple of weeks. So that's the end of my year.
That's my challenge to you before the Philippines, before your wedding. All that important stuff aside. God of War, I want you to platinum 2018.
Oh gosh, I can't platinum that. I was gonna say I could at least beat the story mode, but oh my gosh, platinum! I heard people were saying it's tough.
Yeah, but you do Dark Souls games. Yeah,
I know, but I'm not okay. I'll try.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I have Taco Bell delivered to my doorstep.
I'm going to deliver myself to an IKEA in a couple of hours.
Yeah, that sounds impressive. I got a bean-based Mexican pizza and some bean burritos. I'm about to go ham on.
Okay. Well, no live streaming tomorrow then.
Oh, that's bright and early, 8 a.m. Got a Baja Blast as well. We'll balance each other out. But thanks for joining me. We have to connect about next week. There's a guest we have. So I'll talk to you throughout the week and all that stuff. But thanks for joining me. Not for this week. Not a guest for the show. We have a guest at our home that will be here Wednesday through Friday. So I'm not sure if I can. What are you looking at? What's that face for?
I don't know if I can grow a beard again by next week. I got to mix it up. I'm just trying to think what I can do.
I mean, I'll probably be there at this point. Yeah. Well, you can work on it. I don't know. Think about it. Yeah, reverse mohawk, where you have the stripe in the middle and then two on the sides. Yeah, do it. Definitely do it. It's a good look for you.
All right, man.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. This is Game Bites for the week. We'll be back at some point next week, undisclosed time. But for now, everyone, go in peace. Have a wonderful weekend.
Don't eat too much candy.
That too.